Rich. So in today's video we're going to be putting the forks back together. I've had the stanchions, the fork tubes back from AM Philpott pitted forks. It's just had re-chroming and come back as new. So yeah, we're putting them back together so that we can get the front end of the bike back together. Okay, I'll just show you some of the parts that we've got in. Okay, so here we are on the bench. So we've got the fork lower, which I have repainted in an enamel paint. I did this last time and I've done it on another bike and it seems to work really well. So it's an appliance enamel, just a stainless steel colour appliance enamel from Rust-Oleum that you do your appliances with. Anyway, a couple of coats, 3 coats of that. There's a really hard coating on it, I don't know if you can see. But yeah, that's come out. It's come out really well. Really pleased with that. So that's that. So that's the fork tube. So inside, obviously, we're going to need to reinstall a fork seal. I have a new one here. Honda part from David Silver Spares. So that to go in. And here is the item in question. So this is the fork tube from Philpott's pit of forks. And I'm not sure whether it picks up on the camera, but this thing is just flawless. Really pleased how that's come out. So anyway, so hopefully that should stop all leaks. So the other pieces that we have to go back into the puzzle is we've got the canister here. So the CB450, so my model, the 1972 model, has the canister style forks with the spring, and then inside the little box here, so that's the old seal, which I'm going to use to drift in the new seal. So we've got this castle shaped piece that goes on top of the canister and holds the spring in place. Obviously we've got the drain screw with copper washer. Copper washer is important, it's a new copper washer. We've got the spring, I don't know what you call it, spring retaining nut, spring holding screw, something like that. Anyway, I'll show you where that goes. Obviously the circlip that holds the fork seal in place, and the top nut with a new rubber O-ring on. Okay, so that's brand new, that one, already been replaced. And the bolt that goes in the bottom and holds the canister in place. So those are all the pieces. Yeah, it's about time we got stuck in and put this thing back together. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to tackle is we're going to tackle the seal. Okay, so here's a new seal. The ones I took out were fairly new anyway. I'd only done a couple of miles, maybe 100 miles in total on the bike before I decided to take it apart. And it wasn't these that were leaking. It was the tubes, but anyway, it's always good practice to replace these things. They're not massively expensive. So there's the old one. We're going to use that to drift in the new one. Essentially, it just slots in there, like so. You can see it's open on one side, not on the other, so the open side goes in. And we just push him in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one on top with the rubber mallet and drift it in. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit of doing, and I'll fetch you back when I've got it seated. There we go, so it's seated. You can see just here is the groove where the snap rings can fit. Okay, so now that we've got the fork seal fitted, we're going to pop the drain plug back in. I'm going to do it now before I forget and leak fork oil everywhere. So 10mm bolt goes inside the hole, copper washer goes on first. Next we're going to install the canister. Okay, so these things are part of the damping unit. So basically they have a plunger inside this canister here that goes up and down. This screw hole here, you have the bolt that connects to the bottom of the lower leg and holds that in place. Now this can twizzle and twist and what have you, but what I found, if you drive it in with a drill driver or an impact driver, it drives it in fast enough that you're not going to get any problems. What I will do before I do that is I shall dribble a bit of oil into the threads there. The same, I shall pop a bit of oil on the threads here just so that it goes in nice and easy. So that will be the next job. And this just goes straight down in. You're going to have to wiggle around just to get through the seal. It'll go straight to the bottom. So copper washer goes on. Put oil on the threads. And just work that in. It didn't take much before it starts to spin. Okay, so he's seated now, and the canister is nice and snug. So these guys take 10 watt fork oil, between 220 and 230 mils. So we're going to go on the lower end and we're going to have 220. So I'm just measuring that out now. Okay, so now we've got the stanchion, then we need to hold it in place with the circlip. Okay, so I've just got a regular set of circlip pliers. I'm sure there's probably some specialised ones, but anyway, so there we go, so that drops in. Okay, I'm just going to nip it together, straighten the hole. There we go. So he's in nice and tight. Now the next bit is relatively fiddly. Fork oil is going to go in. And then we're going to have to drop the spring. So I shall take you along for this little bit. Okay, so fork oil in. the stanchion up and down a smidge just to work that all the way to the bottom. Okay, so now what we have to do is we're going to need to pull out the top of the canister. So I've got a pair of long nose pliers, just pull that out. Over the top of that we're going to drop the castle nut. No idea what it's called, but anyway, it retains the spring at the bottom. So crenellated section goes up all the way down. We then have the spring. So the tighter springs go to the top, the wider springs go to the bottom. And this is the bit that gets a bit fiddly, because you don't want to lose this bit. So drop the spring in. So after much, well, let's be honest, buggering around, I've discovered something. The camera wasn't rolling while I made this discovery. Information in my manual is very limited on how to disassemble these things and reassemble them. Basically, so the canister and the spring, etc., you would probably put together before installing them into fork leg and the stanchion. Anyway, lesson learned. So it's been quite tricky to get the canister through the spring. Anyway, it's there now. And just to avoid it dropping down, I've got it held with some vice grips. So we've got the retaining nut here, which is an odd shape, but actually it takes a 19mm spanner. So just work him on. And snug it down. Okay, so that's on, and then the next bit is the cap nut. So that screws onto the end of the canister first. Like so. At this point, you should be able to take off the vice grips without losing everything down into the belly of the fork. So here we go. Okay, there we have it. So, cap nut, retaining nut, all on spring. I've already put the fork oil in, and I've topped it up because I've lost quite a lot of fork oil onto the garage floor trying to do this. So, as I say, spring and canister, I would put those together before you fit those into the lower leg. Anyway, we're in now. And all we need to do is drive this into the stanchion in order to seal it. Okay, so lift the stanchion up and screw him down. There we go. And finally, as you can see here, I have a gaiter on this one. Now, some 450s come with a just a dust seal that goes at the bottom. I'll show you here. So a dust seal that goes here, just a rubber dust seal that goes around the stanchion and over the bottom. So the fork lower there. So on mine it came with gaiters. So the gaiter does the same job. So it goes over there, creates a dust seal, and then the top of this is held within the fork ears. So there we go. Okay, fork leg together now. I feel like I've learned some lessons, which hopefully you can learn from. So, yeah, spring and retainer onto the canister, I would suggest, before you fix them together. My particular manual in my Haynes manual that I've got, it goes into great detail on the other type of forks that come on these 450s, maybe the CL, maybe the earlier K through 4, K0, K through K4, CB450s. As I say, anyway, there we go. It's together. Bit messy, but we're there. So yeah, we can plug the front end of this bike back together. So, if you found that in any way interesting, useful, instructive, please give me a big thumbs up. Leave a comment or consider subscribing down below, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.